City Manager of the City of Cedar Rapids. Welcome. I'd like to welcome all those in the audience this morning. We have a number of representatives from the City of Cedar Rapids in the audience. We have a variety of media representatives and members of the public. We've very much appreciated the interaction and the questions we've received during these news conferences by the public and the media asking excellent questions. This has made us more prepared to respond to the public in general, and we have found from a city perspective that the engagement with the public and with the media during the flood of 2016 has been highly, again, advantageous to the city. Corbett, members of the Cedar Rapids City Council, and also special guests, our Attorney General, Tom Miller, and Insurance Commissioner, Nick Gerhardt. For 8 years, the City of Cedar Rapids has been making plans for temporary flood protection while we work towards a permanent solution. Last week, that plan was put to the ultimate test. Over the last several days, our community has gone through an amazing and harrowing experience that I believe will unite us as community forever. People all over the country have been looking at our city as an example of how a community can come together when faced with a seemingly insurmountable challenge. As time continues to pass, I hope we all remember this feeling of unity, not just in times of disaster, but every single day. It's my hope, and I know the hope of the mayor and city council, that we keep this momentum going, this momentum of this great feeling of pride and feeling of community. Since I came to the state in 1998, I always heard about being Iowa nice. Cedar Rapids is certainly Iowa nice. But today and through this entire learning experience and this disaster, we've also become Cedar Rapids strong. I mentioned before, we've had hundreds of employees who've been working extremely hard during the last several days. We've acknowledged the tremendous work of the private sector, who really came to work with us during this time of disaster. Many times as that wall was being constructed, it was impossible to tell whether that was a city employee or a member of the private sector. Everybody pitching in and becoming one with one goal. And while I've mentioned all the work and all the commitment of so many individuals, there's one group who was directly responsible for the construction and the maintenance of our flood protection system. That temporary system is, as the mayor has said several times, is what saved our city. Through the last days, there are so many individuals that have come up to me and said, wow, I cannot believe that wall. How did this city get that wall constructed in such a short period of time? People went to bed and there was no wall. They woke up and they saw large portions of that wall either under construction or completed. And again, it was that temporary structure, that temporary flood protection, that was critical to saving this city. Without that wall, we would have had, I believe, hundreds and hundreds, maybe more, of homes and businesses significantly impacted by this flood of 2016. And so while we try to recognize the team of community and the team of city employees and our various partners, it's really important today at our last news conference that we acknowledge several individuals that were responsible for the planning and the management of the construction of that temporary system that was so important to saving our city from so much impact, so much harm, so much pain. And so I'd like to acknowledge those individuals and ask them to stand. And yesterday, the mayor had the honor of acknowledging the tremendous work of Jen Winter. But Jen Winter, as a leader, also knows the importance of the team, and that she couldn't do it alone, just like no one can do it alone. And so again, these individuals are those who are directly responsible for the management, the planning, the construction, and maintenance of our temporary system. So the first person I want to acknowledge is Nate Campman, our city engineer. Nate, why don't you acknowledge yourself, raise your hand, don't be shy. And Nate, our city engineer, directed the overall design and construction of the temporary system. And Nate has been an employee of the city of Cedar Rapids for 1 year. And he's had a lot of experience when he came to us, learned a lot over the last year, but has really proven himself as a very, very valuable asset to Public Works and to this community. Thank you, Nate. Next is Justin Holland. And Justin is our construction manager who coordinated and directed our private contractor community working to build the system. So we've talked about that private contractor community coming together, but Justin was the individual who coordinated all that work. Justin, believe it or not, has been an employee with the city of Cedar Rapids for 2 months. Welcome, Justin, to the city of Cedar Rapids. So, he is a Cedar Rapidian and very familiar with his community, but 2 months, and he's inexperienced anyway. He's grown many, many years. So we'll be giving you like 30-year service pin shortly. Everything you went through, Justin Holland. Next is, and please acknowledge yourself, a little out of order, but Justin Kohler. We'll get the two Justins first. Justin Kohler, our sewer operations manager, who implemented the flood response manual to ensure pumps and other equipment were deployed in the most efficient and effective manner possible. And we've got the two Justins, and Justin is another 2-month employee with the city of Cedar Rapids. You know, we talk about that manual. So after the flood of 2008, the city has been working on planning for an unfortunate event such as we were faced with. And there's a lot that goes into that planning. Without planning and execution, there's absolutely no way we could have protected the community in the way that we did. Next is Mike Duffy, our street operations manager, whose crews built portions of the system and provided support to the private contractors and sewer operations. Mike has been an extremely valuable member of our city staff at Public Works for 7 years. We are very appreciative of Mike's leadership and Mike's hard work. And without Mike coordinating the operations of the construction of that flood wall, this community, again, would have been left significantly more vulnerable, to the impact of the flood of 2016. You know, many, many employees put themselves at risk during this flood. As all of you know, employees worked not just during the day, but in dangerous conditions throughout 24-hour periods. And it wasn't fun, but the commitment is what brought about the tremendous pride that made this city and our employees. Again, today, a city that can really be stronger and better in the future. That wouldn't have been possible without Mike Duffy and his crews. And I know that there'll be plenty of time to acknowledge the hundreds of employees that assisted, not just Mike, but other employees throughout this event. You know, I see those sunglasses on top of Mike's head there, and I just wanted to mention, it was just an example of the kinds of things that happen during a disaster. But Mike was working hard with a number of his employees to protect the community, and there was a storm sewer, and they were working feverishly, 3 in the morning or so, to protect this city and to cap that sewer system. And one of the employees, without real notice, suddenly said, I see Mike's sunglasses in the water. And somehow there was a concern, not about the sunglasses, but that somehow maybe Mike would have, his life could have been in jeopardy due to seeing those sunglasses, but not seeing Mike immediately. So that's just a little example. And there was city employees coming to Mike's aid. Thankfully, obviously, he's fine today. But that's just an example. When you think of that, we talk about harrowing experience, and think about looking for a coworker and just seeing those sunglasses floating in the water. Very, very scary, but we're just appreciative again of Mike's 7 years of service and his commitment. Last is Matt Myers, our traffic engineer, whose team oversaw and implemented the traffic control plan and road closures necessary to build the system and keep the public safe. Matt has a 1.5 years of experience, so we kind of learned that traffic engineers it's not, the most glorious work in the world. Sorry, Matt. And not always appreciated because, you see a road closure and you wonder who did all that. But, Matt's work has been tremendous, keeping this community safe, allowing our emergency vehicles and our city employees to get where they needed to be. All the other entities that assisted us, whether it's the National Guard or the state police, the Department of Public Safety, state troopers, all those individuals here to protect our community. And Matt just did a tremendous job making sure the plan that was put in place protected, when executed, the citizens of Cedar Rapids and our visitors here to help us. So, we talked a lot about planning with each of these individuals, planning and execution. And we spent a number of years making sure we were ready, and that we executed properly. But I'd also say it takes a lot of smart, hardworking people to make sure that plan is executed properly. But there's also changes that are made in the field, and sometimes they're having to be made immediately. And these individuals, this team, they had the flexibility, they took on the leadership, they did what they felt was necessary to protect this community. And they weren't calling back on a radio on a regular basis or a cell phone asking for permission to get their jobs done. They knew what had to be done, and they got the job done. And in some cases there was risk taken, but they did it for the good of the city, and they did it without worry because they knew it was in the best interest. So anyway, appreciate everyone's indulgence on that, but we just felt it was really important to acknowledge these 5 individuals. But yeah, there's 5 right there. Yeah. And Matt's looking at me like, what, 5? Did I get all 5? Thanks for the efforts of these individuals. thank you for supporting your city employees. And I'm just proud to be a city employee and working with each of these individuals. On to our rest of our news conference today. And we are going to start with Jen Winter. And I think our Public Works Director probably has less to say today than she has in the past. And that's a good thing, because it's symbolic of the fact that we're moving forward. So, Jen Winter.
Yes, I'm very happy to report that I have much less to report today. The river has dropped below 16 foot, our major flood stage, and I'm happy to report that after 3 days after the crest of the second largest flood in the city's history, the city is recovering very quickly. As the water receded yesterday, we were able to inspect and open the Edgewood Bridge ahead of schedule. I'm happy to report that we had very minor damage to the bridge as a result of the floodwaters. Contractors today will be working to remove the HESCOs along the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 16th Avenue bridges. A reminder that we did have construction going on the 1st Avenue bridge ahead of the floodwaters, and that work will be quickly resuming. Contractors and crews began cleanup yesterday for property owners in the evacuation area returning today. Please be mindful of this work going on. We will continue to work today to take down our temporary flood control system. I've talked all week that we would not have been able to do this without the help of our private contractors and so many other partners in the community. Several of you have asked for a list, and we've been able to compile a list of some of those contractors that have helped us. I'm going to read those off quickly. Accent Trucking, Advanced Traffic Control, Altorfer, American Concrete Pumping, B&M Trucking, Beeline Products, Force Brothers, BWC Excavating, Chris Carter, CRST, Dave Schmidt Construction, Delaney Concrete Construction, Eastern Iowa Trucking, Hawkeye Ready Mix, Heavy Excavating, Hirschberger, Iowa DOT, Iowa Plains, Jerry's Trucking, Johnson County, Jones County, Quality Traffic Control, Kenway Excavating, Lynn County, Martin Marietta, Maxwell Construction, McMurrin Trucking, Midwest Concrete, Musco Lighting, Peterson Contractors, Pierce Tobin Construction, Possibilities Unlimited, Quality Excavating, Rachi Construction, Ricklifs Excavating, Rogers Concrete, Roto-Rooter, Schimberg, Schrader Excavating, Skyline, Star Equipment, Streb, Sunbelt, and Wendling Quarries. In addition, our consulting engineering partners, HDR, Anderson Bogert, HR Green, Stanley, Foth, Snyder, Ament, Shoemaker and Howland, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Without the cooperation and collaboration of all of those, we would never have been able to accomplish this, so thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I just wanted to mention this while I see all the media still here, but a reminder that the evacuation area will be open at noon today for businesses and residents to access their property for flood recovery efforts. If you do not have property in the evacuation zone, please avoid the area to help reduce congestion as much as possible. That congestion, again, is something we want to relieve, and that's the reason why we're asking individuals that only have business in the zone to be in the area. The entire area will open to the public on Saturday morning at 7 a.m. Please be cautious again of workers and equipment in the area. Now I'd like to call on Steve Hirschner, our Utilities Director.
Good morning. As noted, we're now officially in cleanup mode. We've shared a lot of information during the past week, so I'm going to take one last opportunity to explain how citizens should prepare sandbags, flood debris, and normal household waste for collection. Sandbags. First of all, please do not put your sandbags into your collection carts. Residents who can't reuse the sand and want to get rid of the sandbags immediately can take dry or wet sandbags to 2 drop-off locations. Mill Ridge Pool parking lot, which opened at 7 a.m. this morning, at Ellis Park by the tennis courts, which will open 7 a.m. tomorrow. Residents who are not able to haul sandbags to one of these drop-off locations can leave them on their property until the city is able to collect them free of charge. Some suggestions for where to store them are: if you have a wide enough driveway, I can store some there. If not, and you're not on a heavily traveled arterial street, use the street, but leave some separation between the curb and sandbags for stormwater runoff. The last option to hold them on your property is on the public right-of-way. Sandbag pickup is anticipated to start October 10th and will run for 2 weeks. The Economic Alliance has set up 4 locations where businesses and nonprofits can drop off sandbags. More information about these sites is available on the city website. Flood household hazardous materials such as paint in one pile, appliances in another, and electronics in one other, separate from other general household flood debris like drywall and carpet. The city will collect these items for free starting October 3rd. This collection will not follow your regular collection day. We'll get started on it and just keep working as we can make progress. We don't see a lot of material out there in our drive-bys, but we know that people are just coming back to some of their homes. The Solid Waste and Recycling Division will not be able to determine how long this collection will take until everyone's back in their homes and we have a better idea of the total amount of debris that will need to be collected. Household waste. As again was mentioned earlier this week, we will resume normal garbage, recycling, and yard waste service in the evacuated area on Monday, October 3rd. We will allow customers within that area to place 2 additional 35-gallon bags at the curb on their normal collection day for no additional fee. This only applies to customers within the evacuation area. All other customers who wish to set out extra household waste next week should purchase their extra garbage stickers. Leaf collection. Because our efforts will be focused in the near term on flood cleanup, the Solid Waste and Recycling will be delaying vacuum leaf collection until the week of October 10th. We will be skipping the first scheduled week. However, residents who do have currently have leaves and wish to dispose of them can use their Yardie cart or their paper lawn and leaf bags on their normal collection day. All bags should weigh 40 pounds or less. And again, I know this is a lot of information. Citizens should check the city's website if they have any questions concerning on how to dispose of flood debris or sandbags for recycling. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And that website address, again, is cedar-rapids.org. Next, call on Kevin Ciabatti. Kevin's our Building Services Director, to talk briefly about how we're working with businesses and property owners that have been impacted that perhaps need a permit, as well as other kinds of assistance regarding getting back in operation.
Good morning. Inspection staff spent yesterday continuing our survey of flood damaged properties. Again, based on our initial assessments, we have identified a small number of structures that have sustained flood damage. In the coming days, staff will continue to assess properties in areas that were not accessible due to standing water or temporary flood protection system. As citizens return to their home, I again want to remind everyone to be cautious of standing water in basements. Our initial assessments have all been from the exterior of properties. Standing water in basements present an unknown danger from the exterior, especially when your electrical system, furnace or water heaters have been submerged. All these systems are considered dangerous if submerged. If you come across this upon your return, please call your utility providers immediately. You will need to hire a state of Iowa licensed contractor to repair the damage before it is safe to return, and that'll be through our permit process. If you are uncertain about a contractor you've identified, the city has established a phone line and will verify if the contractor is properly registered by the state of Iowa. Please call 319-286-5929. Again, 319-286-5929. This is not a contract referral, but a verification service for your own protection. The city will not be requiring contractor registration and badging, and that number will be available throughout this weekend as well. The City of Cedar Rapids Building Services Department will be open 8 to 5 on Saturday, October 1st, and Sunday, October 2nd. Staff will be available at the City Service Center to answer any questions citizens have about returning to their homes and businesses. During these hours, the city will be issuing flood permits to properties that sustain damage. In addition, inspectors will be available to address any flood-related concerns. Citizens can also call during that time 286-5831 with any questions during these hours. Our primary concern are the citizens' safety. We are here to help in any way we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. We also wanted to announce that businesses that have not been in contact with us through the Economic Alliance or the Czech Village, Newbo Main Street are encouraged to go to our website to provide information regarding flood impacts and any future information, communications that you might need. So we know that businesses have been impacted. We have a process for making sure businesses have the information so that whatever resources are and will be available, you have all that information. But please check our website, and then we'll make sure that you get the information that you need from the city and from the Economic Alliance and the Czech Village Association. Next, before I introduce Mayor Ron Corbett, who will be wrapping up from a city perspective this news conference and entire communication effort for the flood of 2016. I'd like to introduce two individuals who were honored to have join us this morning. The first is our Attorney General, Tom Miller, and second is our Insurance Commissioner, Nick Gerhardt. We're very pleased that both Tom and Nick are here today from a state perspective. We have received tremendous assistance throughout this process from the state of Iowa, and having both Tom and Nick here, the Attorney General and the Insurance Commissioner, is further evidence of the partnership the City of Cedar Rapids has with the state of Iowa.
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate the City Manager Pomerantz, Mayor Corbett, the City Council members, the staff of the city government, and really all of the Cedar Rapids area for just the enormous accomplishment that you've just achieved in fighting off this floodwaters. You know, it's really pretty incredible what you've done. You should take a great deal of pride in the accomplishment. And as the city manager suggests, it's another example that we're stronger together. I have a number of responsibilities as Attorney General. That keeps the office really interesting and never boring. And one of those responsibilities is I'm the consumer guy. And that's the hat I have on this morning. That we've seen in the past, time and time again, when there's a flood or a natural disaster, it's sort of it draws in fraudsters from around the country and around the state to some extent. And the reason for that is that when there's something that's really on everybody's mind, and there's also some vulnerability, the fraudsters come in. And obviously this is an event that's on everybody's mind. And also there's some vulnerability because people have been through a lot, whose homes have been flooded or damaged in another way. And they're really anxious to take care of it and make it right. So some of these people take advantage and are real bad actors. They come in and take people's money and promise to clean up the house or repair the house and don't do it. Or they do it in a totally quick, substandard way. So what I'm doing today, and Nick Gerhardt will join me in some of the insurance aspects, is sort of given the danger signals and the counter moves that people can make as consumers to make sure that these fraudsters aren't successful. First of all, if you can, do business with people locally. Now, in a disaster like this, the local contractors are not going to be able to do it as quickly as possible. So you're probably going to use some people that you don't know. But if you don't know them, you want to find out something about them. You want to know where they've done business. You want to call the city number that was described just a few minutes ago. You can also contact our office or the Better Business Bureau as well to see if you're dealing with somebody that's going to give you a lot of trouble. And you want to have some identification of them. Their license plate number, their photocopy of their driver's license, photocopy of any permit that they have. Get at least one of those. Really a picture of one of those. And if they don't want to give it to you, that's a pretty big danger signal that something is amiss here. And maybe the most important preventative recommendation I'm making today is this: that if they don't get the money out of your pocket or out of your bank account, they can't defraud you. And this is a classic fraud where they want most or all the money up front. Don't give it to them. Give them only money. Sometimes they need some money to buy the materials, and that can be reasonable. But make the check out then to the hardware store or someplace where they're going to go. Don't give them money until you have seen the work and are satisfied with the work. Whatever your agreement is get it in writing is also a good idea. Another thing to keep in mind is that the door-to-door sales acts apply. They're out in your community signing you up. So you have 3 days to cancel. If you sign it and make your commitment. I always live up to commitments. The Iowa law says, well, wait a second. You've got 3 days to consider this. If it doesn't sound good or you're just uncomfortable with it, you can revoke the contract in 3 days, and it's not binding, and you have no obligation morally or legally. We're going to have a mobile office. I think it's sort of our first mobile office up here a few days coming up as well. And Jeff Greenwood is our communications person. Jeff, where is the mobile office? When and where will the mobile office be?
I've got that here.
Jeff has got it here?
Attorney General.
Oh, you're always ahead of me.
Well, no, Jeff gave it to me, so I don't know about that. But Friday today from 10 to 3, this will be at the City Services Center, and that's at 515th Avenue Southwest. And then Monday from 10 to 3, Cedar Rapids, Downtown Library, 450 5th Avenue Southeast.
Thanks for rescuing me. And I think after Monday we'll sort of reevaluate whether we should do it more often, depending on the need. In the world of consumer protection, we in the AG's office have a wonderful partner, the Insurance Commissioner. We do fraud prevention programs together. We work on cases together. We have a terrific working relationship, and I think that's in the interest of Iowans, and that's both it's important to both of us. So it's my privilege and pleasure to turn it over to my friend, the Insurance Commissioner, Nick Gerhardt.
Thank you, Attorney General Miller. I want to echo what Attorney General Miller said. Watching this from Des Moines and being with you this morning and seeing what the city manager, the mayor, the council, all the employees and citizens accomplished, I think it is nothing short of amazing and a miracle, quite frankly. So, but I do want to say there are other smaller communities that we're not as fortunate. It sounds like there are properties and business owners and homes even in the Cedar Rapids area that may have some damage. And I want to just echo Attorney General Miller's comments that we're here to help at the Insurance Division. Now, flood insurance is a national program administered under FEMA. However, our office can help with claims and complaints to FEMA. So call our office. If you have other claims, dealing with wind damage and other types of damage, again, call our office. We regulate the insurance companies that are paying for these claims and damages. So if you have a claim you feel is not being treated fairly, that's why we're here, is to help you. And we do work very closely with Attorney General Miller's office. And I'm going to give our direct number. It's a toll-free number. Anybody can call anytime. It's 877-955-1212, 877-955-1212. And our website is www.iid.iowa.gov. There's a lot of information on there. If you have a complaint with what's happening, file a complaint. Our office will look at that very quickly, be in touch with you. We want to be here to help. But again, I also want to stress, if there's an issue navigating FEMA, which can be challenging at times, call our office. We have really good contacts with the regional folks, and we can help there as well. So thank you for having me here, and we're happy to help where we can.
Okay, we are, as far as our schedule, we're going to have comments from Mayor Ron Corbett, and then Mr. Teahan will make some brief remarks, and this news conference will be over. I did want to let everyone know that our utility partners, Alliant Energy and Mid-American Energy, are in the audience today. They both have worked feverishly to get service restored to our citizens. We deeply appreciate their commitment to the community. And if you have questions of either Alliant or Mid-American, they are in the audience here. Mayor Ron Corbett.
Great. Thank you, Jeff, and welcome everyone. A special thank you to the City Council and their steadfast leadership over the last few days, and to Jeff and his organization. I know after everything gets back to normal, there'll be plenty of time to thank many, many people in this community. It's been a crazy week. Imagine 10 days ago, the conversation in the community was talking about a casino. And in the blink of an eye, because of an insane amount of water falling up north, the conversation changed. We've come full circle in our town. From 8 years ago, dealing with the flood, to flood recovery, to back to the flood, to now back to flood recovery. I like Yogi Berra. He passed away a few years ago. Yogi Berra is a famous baseball player and manager, but mainly he might be known for his whimsical philosophy. And I wondered what Yogi Berra might say about the community of Cedar Rapids. I think Yogi Berra, if he had to comment on the last several days here in the city of Cedar Rapids, he'd have 2 words to say about Cedar Rapids: leadership. You see, you don't have to have a title to be a leader. And many people with titles aren't leaders. Anyone can be a leader. In this community, over the last 4 or 5 days, people stepped up and showed tremendous leadership on all fronts. And that is really why we were so successful. People that have never stepped up before stepped up. I'm really grateful to see in my position as mayor. Over the last several days, I've had a chance to address several of the constituencies in our community. I've addressed the neighborhoods and the homeowners. I've had a chance to address the workers, everybody in the private, public sector that's worked together. I've had a chance to address all the organizations, the arts community, the nonprofits, the faith community. And I've had a chance to address the business community yesterday with my call to have citizens step up and be the stimulus to help those small businesses get back on their feet. So I wanted to address today a constituency that I haven't really addressed over the last 4 days. And that's our young people that live here today and that don't live here currently. You got the week off. School was canceled for the entire week. Now, if you've watched the efficiency of our Public Works Department, I wouldn't count on any snow days this winter. If they can build a flood wall in 2 days, they can clean off a few inches of snow on the streets this winter. But it was great to see that you didn't spend your week in front of a screen playing video games. So many young people were volunteering over the weekend. Sometimes they were athletic teams, maybe they were some clubs, or just individuals that came down in the flood impact area and volunteered their time. You took the first steps to bond with your community. You took the first steps of taking ownership in your community. Today you call Cedar Rapids home. But I want you to know you can always call Cedar Rapids home. The other group of young people I'd like to address are those that aren't here today. That may be out to college someplace. I was really struck by Zach Johnson's comments yesterday that I read in the paper. Zach Johnson, former Cedar Rapidian, he's in the Ryder's Cup right now. This guy's a professional golfer. He's won the Masters, won the British Open, and he's preparing for the Ryder's Cup. And he comments that he has a heavy heart for Cedar Rapids, for what's taking place right now in our community. I thought, well, maybe others have the same. Maybe there's kids that are Iowa State right now, or Iowa, or other colleges around the state that are feeling the same way. I've been kind of texting a couple of my kids at Iowa State and giving them some updates on what's going on in Cedar Rapids, and they say, Dad, I already know that. I knew that 6 hours ago. I saw something on Facebook. So all these young people are paying attention to what's happening in Cedar Rapids. All the studies today say that people decide to choose a community before they choose a job. They want to find a place to live and then find a job. So everybody out there that's been watching, Cedar Rapids is a good place. Cedar Rapids is a fun place. Cedar Rapids is a safe place. But most of all, Cedar Rapids is a caring place. So as you're planning out your future and you're deciding on what community that you want to move to and then find a job, you have ties to Cedar Rapids, you're welcome to come back and establish roots again in Cedar Rapids. I want to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart over the last week for everything everyone in this community has done. To say that it's been tough on a lot of people is really an understatement. But we did it. We came through it. And I think when we get through these next few days, it's time to organize a little party for the people of Cedar Rapids to celebrate this awesome achievement. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So before we bring up Mr. Sheehan, are there any questions from the audience or the media? Yes, Mr. Burrell.
I was wondering if you could elaborate on the removal of the HESCO barrier process and what will be removed and what won't be.
Yes, Jen Winter.
question was on the removal of the HESCO barriers, and what we are doing is we've got contractors and some of our crews removing these. As many of the barriers that stay dry as we can, we will try to salvage. The barriers that were wet with floodwaters are more difficult and in some cases impossible to salvage. The material, we really plan to reuse or recycle as much of the material as we can. Our goal is 100%. We know that we may lose some of that material, but we're stockpiling sand and the clay and other materials in various locations.
Okay. Other questions? Yes.
I don't have a question, but I'm led to do this. That I just personally want to thank Mayor Corbett, all you guys on the panel, all the sand diggers, volunteers, all the police officers, and everybody that helped us, that was not in the flood or in the flood. I think we all need to give every one of you guys a big helping hand.
Thank you.
Saving our city.
So we appreciate your comments, and also thank you for being at every one of these news conferences. You've been very loyal attenders, so thank you very much. Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, can you tell us kind of for logistic purposes, where will you start opening up downtown on First Avenue or east side,
Sure.
west side?
So the question for logistic purposes, where are we opening up our roads, and particularly First Avenue? Jen?
Right now, we've got multiple crews and contractors working along different sections, so they're all trying to work it. It's going to be dependent on how fast the HESCOs come apart in areas where we've got multiple layers, getting those down. Since we've got multiple crews working in different directions, the order they open will just be dependent on how fast the crews can get done in their areas. But we are currently working on all of the areas, 1st, 2nd, 3rd Avenue, 16th Avenue, and if not already, shortly on the HESCOs along 8th Avenue as well.
Okay. Other questions? Yes, sir. In the back.
I worked in the telephone industry for over 40 years. I hope after all this is said and done, that we will evaluate how well our telephone systems work.
Okay.
It's a very important part. We didn't discuss that much.
Okay, so the gentleman is from the cell phone industry or from the phone industry, and he expresses the interest that we evaluate how our communication systems worked during this crisis. Any other further comments or questions? Okay, last, Mr. Tian.
Good morning. On behalf of the American Red Cross, we're pleased to be here and give you current updates on our shelter populations. For one, we've operated 2 shelters at Cedar Hills Community Church and St. Paul's United Methodist Church. Our peak population was 133 individuals in our shelter. As of last night at midnight, we've had 80, and we anticipate that number to continue to lower as they get back into their homes. Red Cross workers will be working with individuals, make sure they have a place to go, and individuals who are still in need of a place to live will be working closely with Red Cross to make sure they're taken care of. Red Cross is currently operating in 22 counties as this river continues to impact Iowa, and we are doing damage assessment within the immediate area, including Cedar Rapids. Our primary focus right now in the Cedar Rapids area is to do feeding and bulk distribution. And we do that in collaboration with the Salvation Army. So you'll see Salvation Army vehicles and Red Cross vehicles around the impacted area, and we'll be providing snacks and meals and beverages to keep everyone as healthy as we can physically. We're also doing bulk distribution with all agencies, including Salvation Army. Bulk distribution is distributing cleanup kits, gloves, face masks, rakes, shovels to help people as they reclaim their property, move back in their house. We'd like to commend LAP Aid, Lynn Area Partners Assisting in Disasters, in the direction of Leslie Wright. That is a group of more than 20 organizations, both nonprofit as well as faith-based groups that have been playing an important role also throughout the city of Cedar Rapids and Lane County. For additional information on Red Cross services or assistance in the city, you can feel free to contact redcross.org on the website. Our United Way is uweci.org. Or, of course, for assistance and services, please continue to use the 211 number. The primary focus right now is from the Red Cross and our partners is for health safety, emotional safety, and well-being. As was mentioned, as you're going back into your house, please be careful. If your home is flooded, if it's been surrounded by water, just the fact that all the critters in the city have searched out new homes. You may have new residents in your homes and your garages. So approach your home and your garages cautiously. Please watch your children as you approach and make sure that everyone's safe. A lot of electricity has been off, utilities. If you've gone back and you now are opening a refrigerator, please abide by food safety standards, and you may have to discard food that needed refrigeration and has been without it too long. Our private focus also has to go to children and pets. With all the construction, with all the movement and displacement and people evacuating, there may be a lot of things on the ground. There may be fences displaced. The animals are going to be confused because their scents are going to be different. They're not going to know where to do their daily routines. So we ask that you be cautious. The animals are also may be frightened. They may be a very docile animal, may become aggressive. So be careful of your own animals and those that you come in contact with. Emotionally, a lot of us are feeling probably physically and mentally drained. We're perhaps having difficulty making decisions and perhaps arguing more with our family. These are normal reactions to this type of event. We ask that you just give yourself time, give yourself a little space, a little more understanding with your friends, your family, your coworkers, because your home may not be affected, but the people you're going to be working with in the next few days may be going through a lot of trauma as they're trying to get back. So just remember to take care of yourself, eat well, drink lots of water, and please, now that we have a little break here, get lots of rest. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Great job.